everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to my channel. So I have posted, it's rarely that I post two videos in the same day, but this one kind of needed it for several reasons. So you have maybe seen the unboxing of the 2.55 Reissue Mini in royal blue or navy velvet. Look at it. You could just, it's magic. And aged gold hardware. So in this video, we're going to touch base a little bit on why the purchase, or partially why the purchase. Another reason why the purchase, main reason, is on Patreon only. That's a Patreon exclusive, by the way. And here, let's pause the video for a second and tell you that, or let's pause the review for a second and tell you that thank you to my patrons for supporting the channel. On Patreon, you get to see the videos before they hit YouTube, but also they are ad-free on Patreon while the ads are running through YouTube, as well as you get to see videos on Patreon that sometimes never come to YouTube, and also extended versions of the videos. The extension of the videos that only come to Patreon do not come to YouTube. Okay, thank you so much. So one of the reasons we are in this coronavirus period right now, which is a terrible period, and it's kind of scary to just go out, you know, for those of us or you or whoever is working, you gotta go out, unless the states don't declare some sort of emergency where people still get paid even though they stay home, which is kind of the ultimate resort. No government really wants to do that, but because they don't want to spend money. But let's see. But so just another note while I'm filming this, it's when you're seeing this is way more advanced in the game in terms of the pandemic spreading. So this bag was purchased when the situation was not as bad. So there's that to say, but then there's also to say I took extra precautions traveling to the boutique, not touching anything, having disinfectant with me. The sales associates that I love, that know me, we did not hug, we did not give each other a kiss when we saw each other. We were very protocoled. The bag was placed for me on the table, then I arrived with the bag. I actually, you can't disinfect this. You can't spray disinfectant spray on velvet, it's going to stain. So, but everybody handled the bag with gloves. I mean, and this is just for us to not infect each other. So there's a lot to be said about that, and that's it. I'm done with shopping now until this cools down, calms down, or until I get sick, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, also heal from it, and then hopefully my body develops some sort of immunity against this virus. And I hope for all of you that that you don't get sick, but if you do, that you get healthy, speedy recovery, and that the body starts recognizing the virus, and that we hopefully get through this without scars. And by scars, I mean without losing anybody, without having psychologically so much pressure that can scar you as well. But yeah, but let's try to make this positive. I'm also trying to do these videos to kind of keep us entertained while stuff is happening. So to take our mind off of things. It's a beautiful color. We're going to have a look on the inside of this bag. Let's see how it looks like. This is also a tissue paper. Here we have a zipper, and the zipper opens up another little pocket. So we do have a pocket here, and then we have a pocket here as well. And inside we have, let me cover this up, the, I hope it didn't show the number, the badge code number. If I did, I'm going to have to cut that out, but it's still wrapped in paper. And then we have the main compartment. What I find very beautiful about this, the reissue, the mini reissue, is first of all, single flap, loving it. The rings that I call rings, but you call them grommets, whatever. It has 4 of them instead of 2. Here, let's bring back another beauty of mine, the jersey square mini, only 2 of them, and the chains are then attached to the side here. While here we don't have that. So here we have only one length. You pull it out and that's the length of the chain. This one has an interwoven jersey, really gorgeous. but that's the length you got. It's a relatively long length. The square has a longer length than the rectangular. This is such a beautiful bag. I love jersey. Chanel and fabric is the best. It's the way to go, you guys, I'm telling you. But here we can choose the length. That is so good. And another thing, what I wanted to double check, I do believe that these little guys, yeah. So you can see another thing that I love about the 255 as opposed to the, they're not timeless classic minis, but let's just call it for the sake of differentiating it from this one, the timeless classic mini. This lock, well, the lock, yeah, the lock is attached to the back. So, I mean, they attach it to this piece of leather. So you see in here, light permitting, there you have it. There it is. You see that little metal bit? That's attached to this, and it's kind of screwed together. And you have that metal on the inside of your bag. It's always visible. There it is. It's down there. And they had to cut this leather to, you know, they had to cut through it to attach it. But the 255 mini has a more elegant solution to the dilemma. They attached it before they added the inner leather baglet. So in fact, we don't have any metal protruding on the back side here. There you have it. So I think that's also a great extra bonus added to this bag. It's not just that it's cleaner, but also with every cut that you have to implement into the leather and the texture is a potential for damages. You know, another thing that really scares me always about this one, and in general all fabric Chanel bags, by the way, on all of these bags you could check out the reviews, the unboxings on my YouTube channel. Link is in the description box under this video, but also in the card section up there. What also scares me to pieces is the fact that when they do these grommets, right, they kind of just cut through this whole tweed, which makes it extremely delicate. If you really pull on the sides here, you might end up pulling out the fabric, which is literally, it's cut. It's cut through there, all of these bits of fabric. So what happens is, you know, you might end up pulling out threads or even entire chunks of all of these little bits of fabric. So in that respect, here we got even more potential for it happening because we got 4 of them. But this velvet, oh God, it's so gorgeous. Every time I see this blue, also I'm checking the camera while I'm filming, it's just to die for. It's a little bit of a dust magnet though. But anyway, here you got more potential because you got 4 of them. Here you got only 2. So more potential for stuff going wrong as you wear it. So never pull on these, you know, don't ever stress the bag here. And this is also one of the reasons why I always say, don't overstuff your bags. Because if you stuff them too much, they're going to expand here a lot. I'm not going to even pull it. It's really delicate, but they're going to kind of, if you stuff this one, oh, this leather is so gorgeous. I'm in awe of these bags. Right. Anyway, so if you stuff it too much and you open it too much, and then it's going to also bend here more. And then when you empty it, it's going to kind of go back. So stressing this part, not a good idea. It's not a good idea even with the leather bags, because here's the leather version of the 255 Reissue mini. Why am I saying it's not a good idea with leather either? Because of the stitching that you have here. So the stitching has been cut through. So when they make this hole, they also cut through the stitching. So this stitch here, it can also, and I have seen bags, so that's also something you always have to check when you're purchasing your Chanel bags. Any bag in general that has any sort of rivets, grommets, holes made into it, rings placed into it. Always inspect that your little threads are not kind of poking out from the side somewhere. You know, that kind of, there's a cut there. Be sure that this thread doesn't poke out, but that it's nicely neat underneath this little piece of metal there. That's what we're looking for. So that's important to note, and that is a delicate point when you're buying a Chanel bag made in fabric, or, you know, being jersey, velvet, or tweed. And these are basically the versions, the variations that exist. Now there is also, see how little dust magnet, cute. So We also have plastic Chanel bags. Sometimes they make them out of a particular type of bendy plastic. I don't have a plastic Chanel bag. I think plastic is really tricky. It tends to become yellow with time. And the plastic bags, they work for Instagram influencers. They're kind of good to photograph people on the beach. You know, the sand, the one filled with sand, for example, from last summer. I would say that one is difficult because okay, this is awkward. Let me just take this one away because it's very delicate. But let's put this one because it is the review of this one. And I'm going to place Sycamore sample under it so that it has the right angle on camera. There you go. The plastic versions of the plastic bags, the one with the sand in particular, that's filled between the two plastic layers. The plastic bags, you have to keep touching them. You have to keep using them. Those are, if you want that plastics to stay malleable, bendy, and fresh and clean, because you kind of, with time, the plastics tend to evaporate those soft makers, chemicals inside of the plastics that make them bendable. And with time, they dry out and they could be brittle and crack. But if you keep touching them with your own skin, with your own kind of fats, you keep using them, you keep them alive. Same applies to sneakers. If you buy sneakers just to collect them, they're going to kind of, the soles of the sneakers are going to fall apart with time because that plastic is going to become brittle. But if you keep wearing them, you're going to keep utilizing them and stressing them. They're going to live longer life. So technically, think about that when you're buying a bag. Of course, in particular, Chanel bag that costs a lot of money. You know, plastic bags are delicate. You got to use them a lot if you want them to live longer. But there are also other materials that I do have in my collection, but not to showcase here because it's too big. I have a jumbo in denim, but denim falls under cotton. And I do also have a fanny bag from the TWEED collection, the Egyptian fanny bag with the graffiti on it. So that is a cotton. So, but denim is also a cotton. These are the variations of the textile version of the bags that Chanel makes. And you could check out my denim unboxing of the denim jumbo with the embroidery of the perfume bottles, as well as the fanny bag from the TWEED collection. So the more time passes and the more I'm convinced that for me, the way to go with Chanel bags is fabric. I love my leather as well. It has a beauty to it. And I know if you're on your first Chanel bag, you should maybe consider getting the leather one. You get that out of the way. And then, you know, if you really love Chanel and you want to continue expanding your passion for it and your love of it, then you can consider getting other materials. And you're going to notice with time that these are the ones that give you the most pleasure. I mean, especially in colder months. This one, I wear it a lot in cold months because it's always warm to the touch. It's never cold. You know, leather, when you first touch it, it's freezing when it's cold outside. This one always feels warm and snug and cuddly. So it's not a surprise to me that Chanel's first bag, I don't know if it's her first bag, but the first 2.55 bag she made was in jersey. Soft to the touch. The first one, it didn't even have leather on the inside. It had a gros grain. It was like a silky, kind of like a wavy material, like a knitted version of it, which is included, by the way, in both the denim jumbo that I have, as well as the fanny bag from the TWEED collection. That gros grain material. So it was soft, malleable. The material was soft. It had several layers to give the bag more structure, so it wouldn't fall apart when you wear it, because the bag did have a metal chain, this chain. And then she also added, to make the chain not cold and more comfortable for the shoulders, the original 2.55 actually had fabric. The jersey was also attached on the back of the chain. So even that was a detail that they don't make anymore. You have to consider all of this, you know, but if you are, you know, if you're going into Chanel, and some people just adore fabrics and textiles, and then you go for this. Otherwise, you're going to start with leather, but in due time, you will realize that this is the way to go. It's just the DNA of Coco Chanel's creative verve is so in here. So much more than in the leather. We're so used to seeing the leather, and leather is beautiful, but these they're supple in a different way. You know, they get you in a different way. They have so much more historic meaning. And yes, they might not be the easiest bags to handle in terms, I mean, maybe they're not it bags. You know, they're not going to be the cool bag to photograph on your Instagram, but you can buy a bag for whatever reason you want to. I can just speak for myself personally. I don't buy a bag so that I can show it off on Instagram. A Chanel bag to me, it means so much more. There's so much love, my personal love connected to it, and the history of Coco Chanel's life and how she dealt with fashion and with bags and her philosophy. So to me, if you're purchasing a bag just to kind of have the it bag of the season photographed on Instagram, you shouldn't be purchasing it at all. Maybe you should just then borrow it from someone and take a picture, honestly, because then you're going to end up being bored of the bag because the bag is so connected to that particular time frame in which you're buying it that you're just going to use it for, you know, a couple of months, and then you're going to get bored of it because it was just a fad, a fashion fad that has passed. No, granted, there are people who don't care. They have the budget, they just don't care. They buy it because it's popular. They don't think with their heads. They're just totally shallow, and they just go with whatever is a trend, and then they move on after that. And you can live by that rule of thumb as well. I think it's just a pity also. I mean, I like to respect the person who produced this bag and what's behind the bag, and it would be a pity to just enjoy this bag for just one season and then forget about it because it's not fancy anymore, you know. That's why I try to go for the timeless pieces, the pieces that are forever. And these are forever. I mean, you don't know when they were made. They're just timeless completely. You can never get bored of them. Granted, this one is so exclusively special. There's so much work that went into it. This one is really for special occasions, but still, it's for special occasions forever. Even in 10 years, it's still going to be the bag for a special occasion for me. These are whenever, you know, I mean, as long as it's not raining outside, because I don't wear these. Well, this one cannot see water. Water would stay in the velvet. This one handles water quite well, I have to say. Jersey really dries out, doesn't leave any marks, perfect. Unless you don't buy like a beige colored jersey or a white jersey, then you're screwed. If you're going for a purchase, and again, put aside budgeting, even if you have all the money in the world, or even if you have just enough money saved up for one bag, it doesn't matter. If you're going to go, this is just my personal recommendation. If you're going to go for Chanel, go for something that you will be able to respect and love for the rest of your life. And because it's a pity to throw away something or sell it off after a year or half a year because it's not popular anymore. I mean, it's a waste of material, it's a waste of product, and it's a waste of other people's time and craftsmanship. I don't know, that's just the way I see it. Yeah, you can make somebody else happy who's then going to buy it. Okay, I get it, if the market permits that. But, and this is also one of the reasons why when it comes to these bags, I don't really like questions people ask like, oh, is it a good investment? I don't see these as investments in terms of money. I never, and also I personally, I never buy a bag thinking, oh, well, is it going to keep its value in the future? Well, I don't care. It's the value for me, for my soul. It makes me happy. It connects me to things that I love. You know, in this case, the history of Coco Chanel, her story, her legacy, her heritage. And so investment, yes, from an intellectual, emotional point of view, it's a great investment. I would recommend a Chanel bag to anybody. In terms of resale value, I don't think that way. I don't answer those questions ever because I think it's quite vulgar to reduce these bags to that, to reduce them to resellability. Heaven forbid you need to because you're in a pickle and you got issues and something happens with job or whatever, money flow is stopped, and then you got to sell something off because you got to keep living, surviving, buying food. I get it. But these are not conditions we think, these are not situations you think about when you're purchasing something like this. There's a different approach and love and respect to these products from my end. And that's why the more time passes, I also go more deeper into what really COCO was thinking when she designed and developed this particular shape. She never designed the double C lock. The double C logo already existed way before Karl Lagerfeld, but her lock is this one. Originally didn't have the Chanel logo down there. It was actually without any logo, which I love that it had no logo. This is so subtle, it's fine. But good that it didn't put any double C's on here. I couldn't stand that. So the fact that she went for this, that she designed it the way she did, the way that she thought about this product, how to position what onto it, it's and it's a unisex bag. And now people say, like, why is the guy reviewing a bag? First of all, COCO took the idea from jockeys, guys that ride horses, their satchels, and also the kilting of their jackets. This is what it's taken for this bag. And the bag has been stripped of everything. It is the bare essential, what it needs to have the construction shape that it has. It doesn't have any tackiness added to it. It has a chain because, again, we heard several times in other videos of mine that in the 50s streets of Paris, people would, the bags that had leather straps or fabric straps, people on motorbikes would be rushing by and would just, like, with scissors cut it off and pull the bags off of the shoulders of people. But COCO said, no, you're not going to do that to me. I'm going to make a metal chain. Genius. So there's a reason for everything. And it's because it's stripped to the bare minimal of what it needs to be, that's what makes it timeless. That's what makes it timeless. It doesn't have any curve, shape, cut, edge, corner made out of a, how do you call it? Like an affect. But it's rather the opposite of that. It's necessary. And that necessity reduces it to something that will always be relatable to in terms of practicality for every person in the future, and as well as for every person in the future thinking about the past. And that's something that a lot of it bags do not have, because they are it bags because they have elements added to them that adorn the bag in a way that the bag has not been adorned perhaps in the past, or they copy the way bags were adorned in the past, but with a twist that's relatable to the future, to the times we live in now. But that's why it fades. And that's why a fad passes. And then you're bored of looking at a bag. There are certain bags. What was the Louis Vuitton bag? Tivoli? Was it called Tivoli? All those weird bags and shapes that are just so over the top, and they're so time specific, bond to the 2000s or bond to the 2010s or whatever have you. You can't look at them now. And I mean, you can out of some nostalgic reasons, perhaps in another 20 years you look back and then you go like, oh, you remember those times when that bag, and then you kind of, go on some secondhand website and then you purchase it used just for the nostalgic factor of it, because then it's like. And then again, talk about investment. There you go. Then you purchase it because if you have a nostalgic feeling for it, maybe it was like $2,000 when it came out, but then you find it 10 years later for like $150. That happens. That's not going to happen with this one or with these classic Chanel bags, because first of all, I mean, unless you don't look really at the batch code, there you can have the revelation of what year more or less they were produced in. But if you don't look at the batch code, you won't really know. We know now that the Mini 255 was first released in this particular shape in the summer of 2019. But they're going to keep producing them. Now we have we're in the pre-summer collection. This is the pre-summer 20. Same shape, just different material, and they're going to keep updating it. Oh, another really interesting point, and then we're going to end the video here because I've been blabbering on for too long. I don't want to bore you too much, but I know that you love Chanel videos, so I'm happy that you're sticking with me all the way to the end. Another thing to note is this bag, since it came out, in summer 2019, there has been a price increase. The price increase came then in November of 2019. So a couple of months after its release, the price jumped around 200, 250 euro. So this one now is already, I think, too expensive for what it is with the price increase. But the velvet version, despite the price increase, the velvet version costs less today than the first edition of this one used to cost before the price increase. So that's also something that is really good to consider, actually major factor, that this one costs less than this one used to cost. So with the new pricing, this one is over 300 euro cheaper than this one with the new pricing. But we still have the leather interior. It's not like this one is made in in a flimsy way. It just has a different type of elegance to it. There is a jersey version of this one with a print of Chanel camellias and all stuff, like a, not jersey like this. If it were a black jersey like this, I would have purchased it. It's not. It's a printed jersey. It's not the classic Chanel jersey. It's like more like a thinner, like a shirt type of jersey. But you have to call it jersey nevertheless. But it has a lot of prints. It's overfilled with prints in a way that I couldn't go there. That one is even cheaper than the velvet. So that's even like another 100 euro off. But it doesn't have the structure of this one. It's kind of a softer leather they used inside. It's a bizarre bag. But you could check it out. It's also pre-summer 2020. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you've liked this review and video. If you have, please do thumb it up and let me know what you think. And which ones are your favorites, and which one would you get if you had to choose, or maybe you have all of them already. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section down below. Love you all so much. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget also to subscribe to my channel here on YouTube if you haven't already. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, superdacob all spelled together, and of course I'm also on Patreon, superdacob all spelled together, where you get to see videos before they hit YouTube. They're ad-free on Patreon, and most of the videos are also exclusive on Patreon. They never come to YouTube, and a lot of the videos also are in extended versions on Patreon rather than on YouTube, where they're in shorter versions. Thank you guys so much for watching. Till next time, never forget to never give up on love. Love you all. See you soon. Take care. Bye.